As you can see, this little guy is about a month old, and he hasn't had his feet trimmed yet. And we're going to try to do that today. And but their feet grow so fast, and we're gonna offer some guidelines on how to take care of these guys early in their life. They really need to be out and about where they can get a lot of exercise, hopefully to wear some of that foot away. And if they're inside all the time, you end up with a potential for having some problems. So we're going to trim him up here and see if we can't get him some of this hoof distortion taken care of and get him on the right track. We're going to take a look at this little guy and see if we can't overcome some of this distortion that seems to be going on here. As I said before, his feet grow real fast, and if you look at this little heel, its ends right up here. So what's happening is this whole foot is just being leveraged forward. He's got a lot of heel. He's got nearly the full length of his foot, and I'll pick it up and show it to you here later. The natural tendency is to say, well, I need to take the toe off of this guy in order to stand him up. But what don't realize is that the heel, as you can see him pivot, the pivot of the heel is right back there. And if you watch him, we'll pick his foot up right there. Granted, we're not on hard ground, but the heel being so far forward, it just leverages everything back. His toe comes off the ground. So taking only the toe and leaving the heel would only worsen the situation. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the heel back so that he can at least bear weight here, then take away whatever we can in this region and eliminate some of that distortion on the toe. How much we're going to get done today determines how much live sole we have. Our intentions aren't to get him so close that we get into sensitive material, but we do want to get as much off of there and increase this foundation and get this heel back here. That's the main objective here. That's where his heel ended, and that's where he was pivoting back and forth. So our objective is to try to get that heel trimmed clear to here. That's going to improve this foundation back here, and whatever we can get off the front is what we're going to be gifted with. So the frog, fortunately, is loose. This is the best way to tell how much actual foot you have, is by finding the true apex of the frog. Now, granted, his foot is very tender, and he's never been trimmed before. Okay. Nippers go. As you can see, the apex of the frog is way down inside. I can't even really reach it with my knife so far, so I'm going to have to take away some of this foot. And I'm going to start right here and snip away as much as I can. And keep in mind, that's where the heel ended before. I've moved it back to here. Same with this side here. Now, it's at least a good start, but as you can see, we still would like to get that heel way back there. So I'm going to snip away some of this frog. I'm still looking for the true apex of the frog. That's going to give me my best guide to know how deep this foot is. A lot of people think, well, that foot is really live, clear out, and some of them, you know, you can get some sensitivity out a fair distance. But what I'm looking for here is, see this chalky material? I want a reason to trim that heel off. And so I'm going to trim back here, and it's still chalky there. You can see that. Okay, I finally have reached my goal. On that side, I'm going to exfoliate this side. I'm going to be very specific about that. You see there? Okay, so I'm going to be able to get my heel trimmed right back to there. From this position back to this position. That's going to be a huge advantage for this little guy. I'm not going to be over trimming the front part, however, which is what the natural tendency would be. Now that I've got his foot exfoliated a little bit, I'm going to find the widest part. You can kind of see it there. It's just a little ways behind the apex of the frog. And our proportions now are actually pretty good. You see, this was currently up here. This portion was way out there. So we moved everything back. So we're going to make an even bigger improvement in that foot. And you'll see the difference as we get it on the ground again. So. you're going to look at that and you say, wow, look at that, that's blood there. But you know it's not. What that is, these heels are congested and turned in, and that's just bruising between the lamina and the sole. And this heel being turned over like that, he's bearing weight on it and forcing it in. There's no room for expansion. So consequently, heels like this are easily bruised. That doesn't have any sensitivity to it at the moment, but deep inside there, it's probably a little bit sore. So at least we know that we've gotten him down. This distance here is at the widest part of his foot. You can see now there's a greater distance behind that than there is in front. Simply following the guidelines of the sole are the best guides even on these babies. And you see the frog is in contact with the ground. He can walk on that frog now and keep those heels spread apart. I'm going to rocker this toe just a little bit, like so. We're just going to round this foot up just a little bit here. We're not going to be able to get rid of all of this distortion this time, but again, the procedure is to keep the heels back there where they can provide this little guy with a nice foundation, and the rest of his foot should grow in the proper proportions. These guys sometimes need to be trimmed a little more often than the big guys, just because their feet grow so fast. You notice this guy's only a month old. Look at how much we took off of him. You wouldn't think that would be the case. But if you look at where we're at here now, and what we started with, you'll see this foot here is very similar to what we had. And you see where it rockered backwards? That's the good reason why this heel is detrimental. As I mentioned before, the tendency is to want to stand them up by taking the toe and leaving the heel. It's exactly the wrong thing to do. We've got him pruned up here after a little bit of a discussion about how to do this and everything. So and he seemed pretty cooperative in the end. So I think that now his foot will have a chance to grow in a proper way, and with probably another look at him in another 3 weeks or so would be helpful, and then at least keep him continue to go this direction. He doesn't seem to be shifting inward or outward, which is very good for a pony like this. So I think this is going to be a really good-legged pony. And again, if there were some deformities starting inward or outward, varus or valgus, then we would deal with those as well. So anyway, hopefully this information will be helpful to you. And if you have any questions, just get a hold of us at EDSS, and we'll be glad to direct you wherever we can to give you the best information possible for your horses, ponies, or whatever. Thank you very much.